Sure, superheroes are great and all, but what about the characters that support them? Welcome back, Nerd Squad. It's me, Amanda. Today I'll be focusing on supporting characters of superheroes, but I'm also now realizing that there are a lot of great ones for villains too. Let me know in the comments who some of your favorite supporting characters are, and join me as we count down the top 10 supporting characters more powerful than you think. Number 10. Jimmy Olsen. What can I say about Jimmy Olsen that I haven't said already? Honestly, probably a lot. While Jimmy might just be a human photographer and Superman's mere mortal best pal, he's also had more wacky adventures than I can even keep track of. Also, before we get any further in, just a disclaimer that these are actually being ranked less on actual power level, so it's not like the most powerful's at the top, and more on level of surprise in regards to how powerful these supporting characters are. Now, while Jimmy Olsen might be a surprising character to be included here, for others this one is likely an expected pick. Jimmy Olsen not only has the charm to woo multiple astounding women, including a fifth-dimensional imp, Supergirl, and even though it was a ploy, also kind of Harley Quinn. Not only does he have an impressive army of exes, but he has also been as powerful as Superman before. That's right! And even more impressive, Jimmy was strong enough to walk away from that power, recognizing its danger. For a brief time, Jimmy was also a secret agent known as Secret Agent 55. During his time as a secret agent, he also proved himself to be a fierce opponent in hand-to-hand combat, successfully fighting against and defeating a bunch of villainous secret agents. Not only has Jimmy dated a ton of powerful women, become as powerful as Superman, and acted as a secret agent, but he also has been transformed multiple times into extremely powerful creatures. If it's something that's been done in the comics, Jimmy Olsen has likely also already done it at some point. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you do love when we rank things in terms of power, not like necessarily we're doing here, although we are talking about some of the most powerful characters, be sure to check out our top 10 most powerful playlist. Number 9. Foggy Nelson. The unkillable Foggy Nelson should be. While he might be dead currently in the comics, having been revealed to have been dead since Fisk's men attacked him, and fading away when the Hand's talisman, which had brought both him and Stick back, was destroyed, Foggy Nelson has actually died multiple times over. Granted, many times this was because his death was faked, not because the Hand resurrected him, but often it was only after he was mourned that we'd actually even learn that the death wasn't a real death. I mean, at one point, Matt was literally blamed for Foggy's demise by his mother, so even she seemingly wasn't in on it, which made his end seem pretty finite, pretty real at the time. So while he is currently dead, I'm pretty certain he'll be back because no matter what happens, death or drama, Foggy always comes back and always ends up as Matt's #1 confidant again. Not only is Foggy seemingly able to evade death on loop, which for a mortal lawyer is pretty impressive, but he also at one point campaigned for and succeeded in becoming the district attorney, which I think is pretty impressive. Number 8. Jeff the Landshark. Jeff the Landshark is obviously one of my favorite supporting characters on this list, although really I'm kind of a sucker for great supporting characters, of which there are honestly many good ones to pick from between the big two publishers of Marvel and DC. Jeff the Landshark has been a supporting character and ally to many different superheroes. He's palled around with Elsa Bloodstone, which kind of makes some of the most sense considering her connections to monstrous creatures, Gwenpool, Deadpool, and Kate Bishop's Hawkeye, and many others in addition to Kate in his own Marvel Infinity series. It's Jeff! Jeff is basically exactly what his full name claims he is, a great white shark with feet who can walk around on land. While he might be smaller than what you imagine when you think great white shark, that is, he's not 25 feet long or anything like that, he's still mighty, and I know I would not want to get into a knife fight with Jeff. Number 7. Lois Lane. Lois Lane is unstoppable. She is one of the bravest characters in comics I've ever seen, and that's pretty impressive considering she doesn't really have any powers to speak of. Lois Lane is an investigative reporter, which has also led her to uncover some secrets that are of value to superhero friends, but also makes her a hero of the people, helping to keep them informed. Journalism is kind of like a tool or a weapon, honestly, that can be wielded to basically save the world by prioritizing what stories dominate the media and exposing dark truths to the public so that they can actually be addressed. We need more Lois Lanes out there, not just in the comics, but in the real world. Number 6. Alfred. I mean, obviously Alfred has to make this list, right? He is possibly one of the strongest supporting characters I have ever read, not even just within comics. Of course, he is gone now, but even while he is gone, he has an insanely strong presence still. Just take a look at Nightwing. Over there, Alfred is the guiding light in Dick Grayson's life, who was left a sizable fortune by Bruce's butler and father figure. I'm not sure what happened to Alfred's daughter. I'm pretty sure he has a daughter when it comes to that inheritance, but we're just going to assume that that all got figured out prior to his death. Or maybe she's dead now? I don't know. Anyways, apparently it's all good. Even while he's not in the picture, Alfred still lives on in the strength of the men that he helped to raise. So cute! Number 5. Mary Jane Watson. While in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man films, MJ was more used in a damsel in distress capacity, with Spider-Man constantly having to rush in to save her at the last second. In the comics, MJ has actually had some pretty impressive and powerful moments. She might not always be the strongest one around, but Mary Jane is actually more capable in a fight than you would expect, having been trained in hand-to-hand combat on multiple occasions, at one point being trained by Captain America himself. MJ has also donned the Iron Spider armor, rushing into a fight even when Spider-Man pleaded for her to run away from said fight. One thing that MJ always seems to have, regardless of her skill level and capability when it comes to who is writing her, is that she is very brave, probably one of the bravest characters around, even helping Peter as well in his final fight against the Green Goblin in the Ultimate Universe of Earth 1610. Also, when it comes to those on our list, she's currently really one of the most powerful characters here, as she actually has randomized superpowers tied to a bracelet which manifests differently every time, similar to her playing the slots. Sometimes they are more useful, sometimes less. So, I mean, there's also that. Number 4. Bitewing. Bitewing! Oh my goodness. While Dick Grayson's pupper might be a new addition to the superhero family, I still love her, and she still has proven herself, I think, already. And I consider her to be a pretty powerful supporting character. I mean, she was literally given superpowers by Nightmite. She could talk and everything. And although this was temporary, I still think she would do anything to fiercely protect her owner and her pal, Nightwing, and his partner in crime fighting and his partner in love, Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl. Also, if you're wondering if a dog counts as a supporting character, well, she does to me. So yeah, I'm gonna count her. Number 3. Ferdinand. While initially I was thinking of putting Etta Candy or even Steve Trevor on this list, although I'm not a huge Steve Trevor fan myself, I think one of the major MVPs in Wonder Woman's life when it comes to allies and supporting characters is actually Ferdinand. While unlike many of the other people on this list, Ferdinand actually has some power as a Minotaur, possessing super strength. But he isn't really known for being a fighter, but instead a master chef. His cooking skills are so great that he can reproduce any dish to have ever existed, which is pretty impressive. But even more impressive, he is a great and loyal friend to Diana, and when she had her world turned upside down, Etta and Steve knew that one of the only people who could help Diana was actually Ferdinand. Upon reuniting with Diana, he helped her to fully remember who she was and sort through what was real and what was fiction in her mind, allowing her to overcome her emotional and mental struggles at the time and become Wonder Woman once more. Number 2. Lindsay McCabe. When Lindsay was first introduced in the comics, she was just Spider-Woman's roommate and a working actress. She also was one of Spider-Woman's first friends who happened to be a woman, which at one time was actually a pretty rare occurrence for Jessica Drew. Although now I would say she has many gal pals, which is pretty great. Lindsay wasn't even really known for being the most star-studded actress initially in the comics. Instead, her career was kind of presented as being, in some ways, a bit more realistic, I would say. While characters like Mary Jane tend to get the leading lady roles pretty much almost all the time, Lindsay was more of a working actress, scoring smaller roles as a supporting actor and even at times seemingly an elevated background performer, I'd say. With her reintroduction in the comics in the latest Spider-Woman comic, we knew her as a professional stunt woman, which actually also makes a lot of sense considering that it was established way earlier on in her history that she had actually done her own stunts on set before. That was way back in the 80s Wolverine series. Needless to say, her experience as a stunt woman as well as her skills as an actor have actually come in super handy in the past, making her more of an asset actually than a liability in a fight, which might not be what you expect, but yeah, Lindsay's got some moves. Number 1. Rick Jones. Rick Jones is Hulk's best friend. Rick might be a character who has somewhat fallen by the wayside recently, but he is still a supporting character who should be fondly remembered and celebrated. Not only has he been there for the Hulk through thick and thin, even attempting to talk him down during World War Hulk, but he also has ties to Marvel's Captain Marvel. After receiving one of his nega bans, although sadly you likely won't see him featured in the upcoming Disney and Marvel film, The Marvels. Although if that does happen, that would be pretty great, I think. Aside from his brief time sharing and temporarily possessing the powers of Captain Marvel though, Rick Jones has also actually been a Hulk himself, after he ended up falling into a vat full of chemicals intended to be used to cure Bruce Banner. However, this had the opposite effect for Rick, turning him into a Hulk temporarily, although he would of course be cured himself. To me, Rick Jones is kind of like the Jimmy Olsen of Marvel Comics, having had many surprising and exciting adventures where he himself has received powers for a time and multiple times over. That's about it. Until next time, stay nerdy, YouTube.